Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Annalisa and this is Homemade Sunshine. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how I do my weekly meal plan, which, ignore this very plain background. We are going to be hopefully getting some pictures hung up this weekend. If you have watched some of my previous videos, you'll know that I have recently moved. With my husband, we bought our first house towards the beginning of August here, so it's been crazy. If you can hear jiggling in the background, we got a kitten last Saturday and he is chasing his favorite toy, which is one of many tiny little balls with bells in it. He loses them under the couch all the time. We've already had to block behind the TV because he keeps losing them behind there. And then when he gets them stuck, he meows until one of us comes and brings him another ball or finds that one. So if you can hear that in the background, my apologies, but it's keeping him entertained, so I'm not going to take it from him. So to start, I have not always done a meal plan. I have been married 4 years, and it took until this January of 2022, I wanted to do a year of learning how to do more things. It's not gone exactly how I thought it would because shopping for a house took up a very large chunk of our summer, so probably from like May to August. So yeah, a huge amount of our time was spent driving all over Eastern Tennessee looking at houses and doing all of that stuff. So least to say, my first thing in January was working on having a regular meal plan to make cooking less stressful. Also, I'm a full-time homemaker and cooking is kind of my job, so trying to find a way to make a meal plan that works for me. So we start off with this very old notebook of mine. It's an old Kate Spade notebook that I got really cheap at Dillard's, like probably as a teenager. And I just like it because it's so large, but any notebook could do. I've seen very cute like stylized meal plans, and while that would be fun, I've just developed this way that I like best. So I hope that you'll be able to see this. So my first section, I always do fruits and vegetables, which is because it's the front of the store. Shelf stable, which means anything that is not, you know, in any of these other categories basically. Meat and dairy, which also includes cheese, just anything in the meat dairy section. And then freezer. Freezer's generally empty. I don't buy a whole ton of stuff out of the freezer section. You could also, if you wanted to, do a second, do a second shelf stable section for like hygiene products and cleaning products, but most week to week, I'm not buying that many, so I'll just add it to here. Like this week, my husband needs some soap, so I wrote down his name and soap, which is also helpful if you're buying for multiple people in the house and you just put soap. If one of your kids or something uses a special kind of soap, either put the name of the soap or just write their name and put soap, and or, you know, so-and-so body wash, Jim deodorant, so you'll know who it is, and not when you just write deodorant, you get to the school and you, or not to the school, when you get to the store and you say, who needed deodorant? So how I do the bottom of my list is I start from the bottom of the page and number up 7 through 1 because I go grocery shopping once a week. So I always have 7 meals planned out. And at any given time, I always have like a emergency meal in my freezer, like frozen veggie burgers and frozen hamburger buns, or frozen tater tots, or frozen fish. I'll have one, not all of those at once. I usually have frozen some sort of a potato, like tater tots or fries, and then veggie burgers or like frozen fish, just in case there's an emergency and you need to just have something and your meal plan for some reason has just gone completely kaput. There's always that. So I only plan out dinners. I don't plan breakfasts unless I'm just bored with our breakfast. Like right now this week, I'm gonna make a buttermilk blueberry breakfast cake. It's gonna be more of a dessert. It's not really gonna be a breakfast. It's got a lot of sugar in it. I don't think I'm gonna be eating it for breakfast, but that's gonna be kind of a dessert thing. Or if I know there's something that I normally don't eat, like sometimes I'll make a breakfast casserole with like hash browns, so I would add that to my meal plan and just write breakfast, kind of how I wrote this one out to the side, breakfast, and I'd write down what that was so I could then fill in what ingredients I needed, and I wouldn't forget midweek, like, oh yeah, I meant to make a hash brown casserole, that's why I bought those hash browns. So I also do not plan out lunches. Lunches here are always either just sandwiches or leftovers. So I'll look at how many meals this week how many meals this week are going to provide us with leftovers. And I know pretty well what's going to have leftovers for the two of us or what is not. So like this week, stuffed shells, leftovers, tomato soup, leftovers, the honey garlic chicken with fried rice, leftovers, tofu tacos will have leftovers, the chicken and rice will have leftovers, the tortellini casserole. Country style steak will not have leftovers. You normally would, but I didn't buy that much meat. So there'll be leftover sides, but we'd have to have like a sandwich with it. So like this week I would know I wouldn't buy more lunch meat if we were almost out, because it wouldn't be worth it to buy more lunch meat or to buy more lunch cheese. Now, granted, I have lunch cheese already, so that's not on the list for the grilled cheeses that are gonna go with the tomato soup. But lunch meat is pretty expensive. Well, it's expensive how I buy it. I like to get the fresh cut from the deli, so it is a little bit more expensive. But I'm not gonna buy it this week if there's only gonna be one day that we're not having leftovers. That day you can have a PB&J, but for the most part, lunches consist of whatever we had the night before for our leftovers. What we're having this week, just for example, is stuffed shells, grilled cheese and tomato soup, honey garlic chicken with veggie fried rice, Mexican chicken and cheese sauce, which is actually what it's called on Pinterest, tofu tacos, country style steak with mashed potatoes and green beans, and a baked tortellini casserole. So that is the full list of what we are going to have this week. Oh, I just thought of something that we actually need to pick up, so I'm gonna write it down. So that is the full list. I usually try to I do a lot of Pinterest meals or Pioneer Woman. I have other cookbooks, but those are really my favorite ways to look at recipes and things like that, because then you can read reviews, and then I like to tweak things. I usually never go exactly how the recipe is, because we like to add a lot more seasonings to things, or I think of another new way to add another vegetable to it. So each week, I usually try to aim and around like max 2 things per category of like type of food, like 2 Mexican, 2 pasta, 2 Asian inspired, to no more than 1 soup a week, because my husband isn't like a huge soup fan. He'll eat it, but he's not a huge soup fan. I love soup. I could eat soup like 4 days a week, but I can't do that to him. Same with like salad. I like a salad, but to me a salad's not dinner, because I'll probably still be hungry afterwards. So that's more of a side. And I only do like 2 home style, like country style, home style meals, or 1 pizza a week, which usually we have pizza, but this week not so much. If you've watched my Kroger shopping hauls on this channel, you'll see that I get a lot of discounted foods. You might be thinking, how in the world does she fit in these discounted foods into her meal plan? So when it comes to produce, I usually will just find a way to add it in. So like I pick up a lot of riced cauliflower when that's on sale, and that you can add into like literally anything. Add it in with ground beef, and you'll add it into your spaghetti for that week. Add it in with your rice, and it'll just be another vegetable hidden in there. Add it into a salad. I mean, really, most of these meals can have it added in. Add it into the tacos. Cook it up in the same sort of a sauce that you're gonna have on the tofu. Make it nice and soft, and that'll be good. Like the tofu tacos are gonna have bell peppers in it. I would cook the cauliflower rice with the bell peppers to gain some of that flavor. The Mexican chicken with cheese sauce has rice also served with it. I just know that in my head because I've made it so many times. So I would add cauliflower in with that rice. I would add cauliflower in with the mashed potatoes. Or the baked tortellini casserole. So there's really a lot of ways that I would just add extra vegetables. What's another one? I really like mushrooms, and if I get those on discount, I'll cook them separately and add them in, because my husband hates mushrooms. So I would just leave that out for him and add it in for me. What else? Oh, like the bagged produce that I've shown before that you can get 99 cents. Usually I'll just throw that in this week. It depends on how bad it's going. Like I recently got a bunch of discount 99-cent onions, and they're only 99 cents because they're undersized, so they're gonna be fine for a while. Same with these potatoes. I bought them, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. They're still fine, but they'll be used for the mashed potatoes this week. So I'll try to add them in this week. But if I know that they're not going to go like spoil within the week, then I'll add it to next week's meal plan. I'm trying to think what else I find. I mean, for snack stuff, I'll just follow whatever the sale circular is. So like my husband loves the Tostitos or Tostinos. Is it Tostitos or Tostinos? Now I can't remember. Scoops. but they're normally like $5 a bag, but every once in a while they'll do like $1.99 if you buy 4. So I'll buy all 4 bags of those and then just not buy them for a long time. Same with like other chips. Or we got a really good bag of like random discounted, like marked down Kroger style. Oh, here comes the kitten. Are you gonna come say hi? No, he's gonna investigate the other things in this room. But we got some really good tortilla chips on discount. My husband will just eat those as a snack. I've gotten good, like if I get discounted salsas, that's gonna be a snack food or to go with our lunches. So yeah, produce is really easy to just mix in, and I just try to mostly pick dinners that I can throw in extra vegetables with during the week. And I'm not going to buy a discounted vegetable if it's something I've never eaten before. Like if it's something I've never even eaten out before, eaten at somebody else's house, I wouldn't necessarily buy it unless I had a plan for it. I can't think of any vegetables that I've never had that I know I would try. I mean, I wouldn't buy discounted snow peas because I hate snow peas. I just think they taste so gross. I don't like them. So if I know it's something we already like, I will purchase it and then just work it into the meals throughout the week. So as you'll see, I don't put a whole ton on these lists. So as I go through each meal, like on Pinterest or in a cookbook, I will look at everything that's on it and make sure I have it in my pantry or in my fridge. There's always some items that I will keep on hand. Like this week, we're not going to be using black beans in anything, but I always keep 2 cans of black beans or 2 cans of tomato sauce or 2 cans of tomato paste. Like I don't, like there's certain things that I will keep, and every time they go out, I will write it down on this list, which I keep in a drawer in my kitchen. My husband knows that he can add to it too. That we can just write down in the column that is for that week what you're going to need. Do you want to say hi? Let's say hi. Let's show him. Oh, he doesn't normally get to come in here because there's a lot of things he can get into. You want to say hi to the people? Let me say hi. This is Mr. Kitty, is what we've been calling him. But he is very sweet. You want to say hi? You say hi. Oh. Oh, he says, I don't want to be held right now. Okay, you can get down. He'll start to whimper if he doesn't want to be held. He wants to investigate and explore. So I try to leave a lot of room on my meal plan for buying discounted groceries at Kroger, because they will oftentimes, I mean, you just never know what you're going to have. Last week I got, I think 4 or 5 containers of discounted chicken breasts. Am I going to use that all in a week? No, but that was the cheapest price I'd seen on chicken breast in a long time. So I bought a whole ton and froze them. Or I got a bunch of pizza sauce discounted, so the next few times that we have pizza on our meal plan, I don't have to buy pizza sauce. So I try to keep up with what's in the meals for the week. I try to keep up with what I keep in our pantry at all times, like bread, or I don't know, we don't keep cereal. It's mostly just bread and different canned goods, or like flour, sugar, salt, you know, that sort of thing, or different seasonings. But those sort of things, if you buy them in bulk, you don't run out of them very often. So, or you get lucky and you get those items that you get all the time anyways on scratch and dent reduced at Kroger, because I've done that before. My favorite is when they have discounted like dented cans. That is like the absolute best, because I mean, they're totally fine. And you know about botulism, you just make sure it's not dented out, you make sure it's dented in. So not worried about that necessarily. So like I said, like to keep my list small so I can still have room in my budget to be able to get those extra things, because that helps me save money in the long run. If I get, you know, food on discount that's not even close to the date, most of the stuff that's in the shelf stable discounted things for Kroger are not close to the date. I would say probably 80% of the time, if it's something that's like not in the refrigerated or like fresh foods, fruits, vegetables section, it's probably still got 6 months on it. They're either just not going to carry it anymore, which has been happening at my store a lot. They've been discounting a lot of things that they're just going to stop carrying, or it's dented. So you have to check the dates when you're looking, but even sometimes they'll be like a month out, and as long as you know you can eat that. If it's like a bag of chips, you're probably going to eat a bag of chips in a month. Unless you don't like chips, then, you know, ignore my advice. But the meal plan has saved me so much time, frustration, headache when I get to 3 o'clock in the afternoon and say, what in the world am I going to fix for dinner? And then I see a recipe on Pinterest that I like when I'm scrolling and then I don't have the ingredients for it. So this helps me keep track of what am I wanting to eat. You can even add desserts on here. If you want to make a dessert every week, more power to you. Add that to the list and make sure you have enough stuff that week for the item that you want to bake. Or you know that something's coming up at your kid's school and you're going to have to bake something, and you can have that on the list written down. You can even write down, if you've got a lot of cookbooks, you can write down what cookbook it's in and what page. So you're not like getting to the day and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have no idea what cookbook that was in. Especially, I collect a lot of vintage, like church cookbooks. They all look the same. So you don't necessarily know like, oh yeah, it's in that one. It's in the blue cookbook. Like, they all look super similar because a lot of those churches use the same like publishing groups to publish their cookbooks. So I feel like this is a great way to save money, coupled with buying the discount produce and discount items at Kroger. Doing a meal plan, I think, is the best thing for everybody in case you don't have a Kroger or Kroger affiliated store in your area. This is the best way to save money. I swear it works for everybody. I honestly don't know how I functioned without a meal plan before this. I do know how I functioned. I was stressed out about cooking, even though I like to cook and I like to have a homemade meal, and we're trying to save money. We don't go out to eat very often, so this is the next best thing. And like I said, you don't need anything fancy. Now, you might be thinking, Annalisa, I'm never going to remember to take that list to the store. I thought the same thing. I'm really just diligent about before I leave the house to go to the grocery store. Granted, I live now 45 minutes from the grocery store. So before I leave, I make sure I have a water, make sure I have my notebook, and I make sure I have a pen every single time. And when I go to the store, I rip this piece of paper out and I fold it up and I put it in my bag, and then I just lay it out in my cart and just mark them off as I go. You can also do this in your phone. I've tried that and it works. I just don't like, I feel like this is just better organized. And I can see if I've not scratched something off and be like, oh, I forgot, in shelf stable, I needed to go buy ketchup. I've already passed the ketchup aisle. I'm gonna have to go back and get that. So, now also don't think I'm perfect with my meal plan. Every once in a while, I will not get the chance to make something on here. Say like we go to like out to eat with a relative or something, or like one of us is sick or something like that, then the meal plan might get tossed out the window. But if there's an item that doesn't get made the week before, then it just gets transferred next week onto the next meal plan, because I will have already had the ingredients. Unless it was a fresh item that was on the list, then I will take that into account and add it back to the list again. But the majority of the time I can just move it to next week. Like for example, this week I have chronic migraines. I got a really bad migraine right at dinner time, so one of the meals that I was going to make had to get pushed off. So that means a meal from last week has gotten put onto this week's meal plan, and it happens. So, you know, it's not perfect in that sort of a way, and that's why I mentioned earlier in the video about keeping a few things in my freezer that are just easy ready-made. Now, granted, we could have made something easy ready-made. We went and got Chick-fil-A. Also, I had a free sandwich thing, so, you know, I needed to use that anyways, but also, an ice stream from Chick-fil-A sounded really, really good to help me with my sick feeling and my migraine. So, just so you know, you can always push them to the next week. So, don't feel like, oh my gosh, I missed a day. I just totally need to scrap it. Things come up, things happen. It happens to all of us. And sometimes we end up having to go out to eat, or we get together with family and they want to go out to eat. So, don't limit yourself in that sort of a way. I just can't explain the benefits enough. If you've never done a meal plan, I suggest you try it. And just don't even think that you have to start with recipes that you've never done before. Just stick with things that you already know how to do, and then maybe add one new one in a week. I've done that. Like this week, what's new on this? The stuffed shells I've never made before, but I've made pasta before, so it's not really a huge difference. I have never made the tofu tacos. It's a new marinade, basically, so that's not like a big deal. I've cooked tofu like a billion times. So yeah, everything else I've already made before, so I already know what to expect. So don't put a lot of pressure on yourself to make new, exciting things. And then sometimes, as you'll see in the back of this notebook, I have saved every single piece of paper from this year of what I made, and then at the end of the year I'm going to compile all of these into one master list divided by like style of cooking, so I can see what all I've made this year. And I mean, I won't put it on there if I knew the meal was bad. I haven't had that many. I feel like this year I haven't had that many like just totally awful meals, but I've done it, and you're like, okay, never used this recipe before, won't ever use it again. So that is all for this week. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment down below if you use a meal plan or you're more like a fly by the seat of your pants kind of girl. I wish I was, but I feel like if I try to fly by the seat of my pants, I almost always I'm almost always missing one very important ingredient in the recipe if I don't do this. And if you like these kind of videos and want me to share more of what I'm cooking every week, leave me a comment down below. And if you like videos like this, please consider subscribing, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.